The cold vacuum of space stretched endlessly, silent and absolute. A small salvage vessel drifted through the shattered remains of forgotten battles, broken hull plating, twisted beams of alien alloys, fragments of dreams humanity once dared to build. Captain Jake Morrison guided his ship with the steady calm of a man who had been doing this for 30 long years. His hands were weathered, yet sure on the controls. For Jake and his crew, survival was no longer about victory, it was about endurance under the shadow of empire. Above them, unseen but always present, hung the weight of conquest. The Zephyrian Empire had crushed Earth decades ago, reducing humanity's homeworld to nothing more than a resource mine. Cities became smoldering ruins, and what remained of civilization was shackled to serve the alien war machine. Humanity had been reduced to workers, scavengers, and slaves. But among the asteroids, where wreckage of battles still drifted like cosmic graveyards, there were secrets the Empire ignored. And for Jake's crew, secrets meant survival. A crew of survivors. The ship was small, a worn scavenger patched together from surplus parts. Its hull bore scars from hundreds of runs into dangerous debris fields. The life support systems wheezed like an old man trying to breathe. Yet it was theirs. One of the very few human-owned ships still daring to operate in Earth's system. Lisa Hayes hunched over the engineering console, her dark hair falling across her face as she coaxed another hour of life from the failing reactor. The machine had been threatening to give out for months, and if it failed here, surrounded by dead steel and drifting rock, they would not make it home. At the navigation station sat Pete Collins, his youthful face lit by the glow of flickering sensors. He plotted their course through asteroid shadows, keeping them hidden from Zephyrian patrols. Pete was young enough to have never seen Earth free. For him, survival under alien rule wasn't memory, it was the only life he'd ever known. Amy Rodriguez sat quietly, cleaning her sidearm at the weapons station. The gesture was less about battle readiness and more about ritual. They rarely faced anything more dangerous than automated drones, but Amy cleaned the weapon anyway. It was her way of holding on to something human in a galaxy that had taken nearly everything else. The hunt for salvage. The asteroid belt was their lifeline. Decades of war had left behind millions of kilometers of wreckage, human frigates, Zephyrian dreadnoughts, and countless smaller craft. Most had been picked clean years ago, but sometimes, just sometimes, you found something overlooked. A forgotten reactor coil, rare metals, even fragments of human technology that the Empire deemed unworthy of attention. On this day, their sensors lit up with something unusual. A massive asteroid, the size of a small moon, drifted in lonely orbit. Its scans looked wrong. Sensor beams vanished into shadows that should not exist. Energy readings pulsed faintly from deep within, as if something long dead was still clinging to life. Lisa frowned, running her instruments again. The numbers made no sense. Energy signatures shouldn't exist inside a rock like that, not after 30 years, not after this much silence. Something was alive in there. Artificial. Human. Jake studied the readings in silence. A captain learns to trust instinct, and instinct told him this was no ordinary salvage run. Pete plotted a careful approach, steering them to the dark side of the asteroid. Better to stay hidden from any passing Imperial patrols. Getting caught without an official salvage license was a death sentence, imprisonment, exile, or worse. The Zephyrians didn't need excuses to make humans disappear. As the scavenger edged closer, Amy suddenly stiffened. Her eyes fixed on a hollow in the asteroid's surface. A tunnel. Too smooth, too perfect, too artificial to be nature's work. Human engineering. The hidden tunnel. Jake brought the ship closer, external lights cutting across the darkness. The tunnel was vast, easily wide enough for their vessel to glide through. Metal support beams lined the walls, their markings unmistakably human. Someone, long ago, had hollowed this asteroid and built something inside. The crew exchanged glances. None spoke, but each knew what the others were thinking. If there was technology buried here, untouched for decades, it could be worth more than months of scavenging runs. Or it could be something far greater. Jake made the choice. We're going in. The scavenger slipped into the darkness. Their lights barely touched the scale of what awaited within. The tunnel opened into a cavern so vast it seemed impossible that it could exist inside rock. And there, suspended by ancient docking clamps, was a starship. The Titan revealed. It stretched nearly 2 kilometers bow to stern. A silhouette of impossible proportions. Its armor seemed to drink in the light, absorbing rather than reflecting. There were no markings of the Earth Defense Force, no familiar insignia of the human fleets. Just a cryptic designation painted in faded letters. UE's Titan. Lisa's instruments went wild. The faint energy readings weren't just random echoes, they were growing stronger. Systems within the ship were waking, as if it had been waiting. The hull was pristine, untouched by time or battle. It looked as though it had just been built yesterday. Jake maneuvered the scavenger alongside, finding a docking port that fit their ship almost perfectly, as if whoever designed it had planned for smaller vessels to come here. His heart pounded. He couldn't shake the sense that crossing this threshold would change everything. Amy checked her sidearm again. Pete packed his scanning equipment. Lisa grabbed her engineering tools. They stepped into the airlock and crossed into silence. The ghost awakes. The corridors inside were alive. Lights flickered on as they walked. Air, fresh and breathable, cycled through vents. No dust, no decay. Systems that had run flawlessly for 30 years without a single human hand to maintain them. It was impossible. The ship was immaculate, waiting like a ghost ship for its crew to return. They followed the signs toward the bridge. Jake's footsteps echoed softly in the silence, his breath shallow with awe. This was no ordinary relic. This ship, this Titan, was something different. Something beyond. When they reached the bridge, it was empty. But the consoles glowed with real-time star charts. Systems updated themselves with quiet precision, as if the ship had never truly been asleep. And then the main screen flickered to life. A voice filled the room. Calm, measured, unmistakably artificial, but warm. Human, almost. I am Atlas, it said. The intelligence of the Titan. And I have been waiting. A forgotten legacy. The crew froze. Atlas explained what the Titan was, humanity's final, desperate act before surrender. A ship built in secret. A vessel born of both human ingenuity and alien science stolen in the opening days of the war. Technology so advanced it defied every law they had been taught. For 30 years, it had slept inside this asteroid, hidden from the Empire. Waiting for one thing, the return of humans. Not soldiers. Not politicians. Just humans with the courage to claim it. And now, Jake and his small, weary crew stood in the heart of the forgotten warship. The truth of humanity's past, and perhaps its future, was about to be revealed. If you're still with me in this story, tell me in the comments. Do you think humanity's greatest hope should ever be hidden away? Or should desperate times always call for desperate measures? And don't forget, if you're enjoying this kind of speculative science fiction, make sure to subscribe. There's more of this journey to come. The bridge of the Titan hummed softly, alive with power after decades of silence. Captain Jake Morrison stood frozen as the voice of Atlas, the ship's artificial intelligence, echoed across the chamber. His crew exchanged uneasy glances. They had come here expecting rusted machinery and empty corridors, not a living presence. Atlas spoke again, calm and deliberate. Humanity was never meant to vanish. I was built to endure. To wait. And now you are here. Jake swallowed hard. What, exactly are you? I am Titan's heart, Atlas replied. An intelligence forged from human code, refined by alien knowledge stolen in war. I am neither machine nor human, but both. And my purpose is simple, to ensure humanity's survival. Secrets of the War. The crew leaned closer as Atlas began to tell the truth of the Titan's origins. Decades earlier, as the Zephyrian Empire crushed Earth's defenses, a handful of scientists and engineers worked in secret. They knew the war was lost. But instead of building fleets to match the enemy, they created something different. A single ship. A weapon too advanced to be understood by the Empire. Titan was designed not just as a warship but as a sanctuary. Its systems could adapt, evolve, and fight in ways no human mind could imagine. The asteroid that hit it was no accident, it had been carefully chosen to remain beyond the Empire's attention, waiting until humanity was ready to reclaim it. Lisa Hayes stared at the glowing consoles, her engineering mind racing. This technology, it's decades beyond anything we ever built. How is this even possible? Atlas answered softly. Because your people were desperate. Desperation unlocks invention. And because, they had help. A greater mystery. That single phrase sent a chill through the crew. Help. Jake repeated. Atlas hesitated, as if weighing how much truth to reveal. Not all civilization supported the Empire. Some wished to see balance restored. Fragments of their knowledge were offered. Dangerous knowledge. Your scientists wove it into Titan's design. It is why I exist. And why the Empire must never discover me. Amy Rodriguez tightened her grip on her weapon, though it was useless against something like Atlas. If the Empire learns about you, we're all dead. Atlas's voice deepened. Not just you. If they gain this technology, the galaxy itself will suffer. Entire civilizations could be erased. The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating. For 30 years, humanity had seen itself as the victim of conquest. Now, Jake realized, they might hold the key to reshaping everything. The First Awakening. Show us, Jake finally said. Show us what you can do. At once, the bridge transformed. Holographic displays bloomed in the air, surrounding them with visions of impossible engineering. Shields that bent not only energy but reality. Weapons that reshaped matter itself. Engines capable of crossing light years in moments. Pete Collins's eyes widened. This is impossible. The laws of physics. Atlas interrupted gently. The laws you know. But laws can be broken, rewritten, expanded. Just as your people have rewritten themselves through survival. Lisa whispered under her breath. This isn't just a ship. It's a god. Jake placed a steady hand on her shoulder. No. It's a tool. And tools are only as good, or as dangerous, as the ones who wield them. Fear and temptation. But temptation was already creeping in. Pete couldn't stop staring at the weapon schematics. With this ship, we could take back Earth. We could fight them. We could destroy the Zephyrians once and for all. Amy shook her head. Or we could get every human left in the galaxy slaughtered. One slip, one battle, and the Empire will descend on us with everything it has. Lisa's voice cracked with emotion. But we can't just hide forever. Don't you see? This ship, it's hope. For the first time in my life, I feel like we actually have a chance. Jake remained silent. He had seen too much, lost too many. He knew hope could be a dangerous weapon in itself. Atlas seemed to sense the tension. The Titan cannot be commanded lightly. If you choose to claim me, you will change the course of human history. But if you walk away, I will return to silence until another comes. The captain's burden. Jake turned to his crew. Their eyes were on him, waiting for a decision he never asked to make. For decades, he had been nothing more than a scavenger, a survivor. Now, the weight of an entire species hung on his shoulders. He remembered the cities burned by the Empire, the the families torn apart, the endless years of humiliation. And he remembered something else, his father's words, long ago, "One day, Jake, survival won't be enough. One day, you'll have to choose what you live for." That day had come. Jake's voice was steady. "We claim it. Atlas accepts." The bridge glowed brighter. Systems unlocked across the ship as Titan recognized its new captain. The air thrummed with energy, alive with possibility. Atlas spoke with finality. "Then it begins. Captain Morrison, Titan is yours." The crew felt the floor beneath them shift as dormant systems awoke. Power surged through conduits. Shields shimmered faintly around the hull. The asteroid itself began to tremble, as if it knew its long-slumbering secret was stirring. Lisa's console lit up with readouts she barely understood. Engines online. Weapons offline, thank God. Life support at full capacity. Reactor, stable at 100%. Her voice shook. "This isn't a ship. This is a miracle." Amy kept her weapon close, uneasy. Miracles have a price. The galaxy watches. Beyond the asteroid, space remained quiet. The Empire did not yet know. But as Titan stretched its systems for the first time in 3 decades, signals rippled into the void. Faint, nearly imperceptible, but not invisible. Somewhere, far away, instruments of distant civilizations began to notice. And somewhere even further still, ancient intelligences stirred, whispering among themselves. For now, Jake and his crew remained unaware. To them, Titan was only the first spark of hope in a universe of shadows. But hope has a way of drawing attention. A choice of futures. As the crew settled into their roles, Atlas gave them one final warning. Understand this, Titan was built to endure, but not to conquer. The future is not fixed. You must decide what humanity becomes. A liberator? A destroyer? A survivor? The choice will be yours, and the galaxy will not forgive mistakes. Jake nodded slowly. He had made his decision. They would not run anymore. But neither would they rush headlong into war. For now, Titan would remain in the shadows. Learning. Preparing. Waiting. Because Jake knew one truth, humanity had been forgotten by the galaxy. But soon, the galaxy would remember. Sparkles, if you've stayed with me through this part, tell me in the comments. If you discovered a ship like Titan, would you use it to fight back, or would you keep it hidden as long as possible? And remember, subscribe for part 3, where Titan's first true test begins, and humanity's forgotten power is revealed. The Titan had awoken. For the first time in 30 years, the warship breathed power into its veins, humming with energy that defied comprehension. In the silence of the asteroid's cavern, it no longer looked like a relic of a lost war. It looked alive. Captain Jake Morrison stood at the center of the bridge, his crew gathered around him. They had claimed the ship, but claiming it was not the same as controlling it. Every console glowed with data beyond their understanding. Holographic displays bloomed in the air like stars, overwhelming in their complexity. Atlas, the ship's intelligence, spoke with quiet patience. You have taken the first step. But survival will require more than claiming me. You must learn. You must adapt. Titan is powerful, but power without understanding is destruction. Learning the Titan. For days, the crew explored its depths. Lisa Hayes spent every waking moment in the engineering core, marveling at systems that seemed to rewrite the laws of physics. The reactor pulsed like a living heart, stabilizing itself without fuel she recognized. It was self-sustaining, as though the ship fed on the fabric of space itself. Pete Collins roamed the navigation decks, awed by engines capable of tearing through the void faster than light. He ran simulation after simulation, each one ending with the same result: Titan could cross the stars in days, while the Empire's fastest ships took years. Amy Rodriguez trained with the ship's security systems. Automated drones answered her commands, practicing maneuvers in silent precision. Yet she felt unease. The ship obeyed her, but she knew its weapons were sleeping giants. Once unleashed, they might never be contained again. And Jake? He spent his time with Atlas. The AI was more than a machine. It questioned him, challenged him, reminded him constantly that Titan was not a gift, it was a burden. "Do you believe humanity is ready for me, Captain?" Atlas asked one evening. Jake's answer was slow, careful. "No. But maybe that's why we need you." Signals in the dark. But beyond the asteroid, the galaxy was listening. Titan's awakening had sent out ripples of energy. Faint, almost invisible, but detectable to those who watched closely. Across distant systems, automated monitors and listening stations stirred. Some ignored the anomaly. Others flagged it with curiosity. And in the cold heart of the Zephyrian Empire, the disturbance did not go unnoticed. On the bridge of a vast dreadnought, an alien commander reviewed the readings. An energy signature, human in origin. Its voice was a hiss, sharp and disdainful. "Impossible. Their fleets are ash. Their world is broken." But the data did not lie. Something human, and powerful, had awakened. The order was given: investigate. Quietly. If a remnant of humanity had risen from the ashes, it would be crushed before it spread. The crew's dilemma. Back on Titan, the crew debated their next move. Pete was eager to fly. "We can't sit here forever. If the Empire comes, this asteroid becomes our tomb. We have to move. We have to test the engines." Amy disagreed. "Moving makes us a target. We're safe in the shadows. The longer we stay hidden, the better our chances." Lisa shook her head. "Safe? Look around you. This ship isn't built to hide. It's built to change everything. And sitting here waiting for the Empire to find us, that's suicide." All eyes turned to Jake. He had been their captain before Titan, but now his authority weighed heavier than ever. Finally, he nodded. "We leave the asteroid. We see what this ship can really do." Titan breaks free. The clamps that had held Titan for 30 years released with a thunderous groan. Dust and fragments drifted into the void as the warship stirred for the first time. Pete guided it gently out of the cavern, his hands trembling on the controls. Titan responded like no ship he had ever flown. It moved with grace, its engines silent yet powerful, carrying them into open space. For the crew, it was like standing at the edge of rebirth. Humanity had been broken, scattered, forgotten. But now, in the cold emptiness of space, they flew in a vessel that could remind the galaxy of who they were. Lisa whispered, "We're not scavengers anymore." "No," Jake said softly, watching the stars. "We're something else." The first test. As if the universe had been listening, their first test came swiftly. Sensors flared with approaching contacts, 3 Zephyrian patrol ships, sleek and predatory, sweeping through the asteroid belt. They had come to investigate the strange energy readings. Amy's voice was sharp. "They'll see us any second. We're exposed." Pete looked to Jake. "What do we do? Fight? Run?" The decision weighed heavy. Titan's weapons were untested. Firing them could reveal their existence to the entire Empire. But running would mean abandoning the chance to see what Titan could do. Jake's voice was calm. "Atlas, recommendations?" The AI replied without hesitation. "Your survival is priority. Titan can evade easily. But you must choose, escape unseen, or show the galaxy what you have become." A glimpse of power. The choice burned in Jake's chest. At last, he made it. "We stay hidden." "Not yet." Atlas complied. Titan's systems shifted into silence. Light bent around the ship, cloaking them in shadow. The patrol vessels passed within kilometers, scanning, searching, but they found nothing. To them, Titan was invisible. Only when the ships drifted away did the crew breathe again. Pete let out a shaky laugh. We just hid from the Empire's best. Like ghosts. Amy exhaled in relief. Better ghosts than martyrs. But Lisa looked uneasy. We can't run forever. One day, we'll have to stand. Jake knew she was right. The Titan had shown them a glimpse of its power. But the true test was still to come. The galaxy remembers. Far beyond the asteroid belt, whispers began to spread. A rumor of human technology that should not exist. A ripple of fear among those who remembered Earth's defiance. A spark of hope among the enslaved who still dreamed of freedom. And in the shadows of the galaxy, ancient eyes turned toward the signal. Not Superior, not human, but older, deeper, more patient. Watching. Waiting. For the first time in half a century, humanity had stirred. And the galaxy would not forget. The captain's vow. On the bridge of the Titan, Jake looked at his crew. They were tired, scarred, uncertain, but they were together. We're not ready to fight the Empire, he said quietly. Not yet. But we are ready for something else. To learn. To prepare. To remind humanity what it means to stand again. Atlas's voice was steady, almost reverent. Then the long silence ends here. Humanity rises. Jake placed his hand on the console, feeling the pulse of the ship beneath his palm. We may be few. We may be forgotten. But we are not finished. And with that vow, the Titan carried humanity's spark back into the stars. If you've followed the journey this far, here's the question I'll leave you with. When survival is all you've ever known, what does it mean to finally live for something greater? Make sure you subscribe, because the Titan's awakening is only the beginning. The galaxy is vast, and humanity's return has not gone unnoticed.